Episode 2 of Reminder, the new Turkish romance series on Disney Plus, took a few turns I wasn't expecting, both emotionally and thematically, and I've got a lot of thoughts. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Just Dizis. My name is Marjani, and today I'm breaking down episode 2 of Reminder, the new Turkish series on Disney Plus starring Barış Arduç and Hande Erçel. Now, if you missed my recap of episode 1, I highly recommend checking that out first for my initial thoughts on the series before diving into my episode 2 recap. The link is in the description down below. All right, let's talk episode 2. The episode opens with a flashback to when Güneş and Deniz are still together, and Güneş is running late to catch a flight. But when Deniz is delaying her with lots of kisses and affectionate promises to get her to the airport, he tells her to trust him, which hits hard given that trust, or the lack of it, is what ultimately drives them apart. Back in the present, both Güneş and Deniz are second-guessing their impulsive decisions from the last episode. Güneş tells her friends that she regrets posting a picture of Baran to pass him off as Mr. Alpha on social media. She's uncomfortable with the deception and feels guilty about misleading both Baran and her followers, especially since Baran had no idea she was using him to keep up appearances, and she vows to tell Baran the truth. Meanwhile, Deniz is doing some soul-searching of his own. He tells his best friend Hakan that booking a flight to Cappadocia was a mistake, especially now that it seems Güneş has moved on. It's clear Deniz still cares about Güneş, but seeing her post about a new Mr. Alpha made him feel replaceable, like what they shared wasn't meaningful enough for her. But thank goodness for Ege, the 7-year-old matchmaker of the show. Ege adorably orchestrates a surprise meetup between Güneş and Deniz at her office, under the guise of wanting to spend time with Güneş and needing Deniz to give him a ride home. And when Deniz arrives at Güneş's office, Ege tells him that he'll wait in the car so Deniz and Güneş can speak alone. And this scene between Güneş and Deniz was definitely charged. Their conversation starts off being polite, but then quickly goes downhill when Deniz pretends he doesn't know about the inheritance and asks Güneş why she previously visited his office asking for a favor. Güneş brushes it off, saying she doesn't need his help anymore and the matter has been resolved, clearly referencing Baran stepping in as the fake Mr. Alpha. This obviously stings Deniz, who is of course annoyed and jealous. Güneş then reminds Deniz that he still needs to collect a large package that was left for him at her apartment, but he coldly tells her to open it or throw it away. It's another moment where he's trying to act indifferent, but his pain is very transparent. As Deniz was about to walk away, Güneş finally drops the truth about the inheritance in Cappadocia. She explains that in order to receive the house, they have to convince the lawyer that they're truly in love. When Deniz asks how, Güneş suggests that they take a few stage photos, just like they used to, but Deniz immediately shuts it down. He doesn't want to be part of her curated influencer content, especially not when it involves lying to a lawyer. And this whole exchange underscores the central conflict between them. Deniz just doesn't respect Güneş's career. He views her social media presence as shallow and performative, and Güneş, understandably, is fed up with her passion being so callously dismissed. But then Güneş asks Deniz if he's forgotten how to hug her, and in response, Deniz suddenly slides his hand around the small of her back to pull her to him. Their faces are so close, and the chemistry is electric. You can feel the longing, the resentment, and the heat all at once. But then Güneş breaks the tension by pulling away from him. Deniz then smugly tells Güneş that it's not so easy to fake intimacy now that they've broken up. And this definitely annoys Güneş, who angrily tells him that it was a mistake to ever ask for his help. Later, we see Güneş venting about Deniz to her friends, Baran and Özgen, who assure Güneş that Deniz is still in love with her. And then Özgen begrudgingly reveals that she's actually in contact with Hakan, Deniz's best friend. And this is where things get really messy. We cut to a flashback of Hakan in bed with a woman. We're initially led to believe that the woman is Özgen, but then we see Özgen walking into the apartment calling Hakan's name. Now, at this point, I'm thinking that Özgen and Hakan are in a relationship and she's about to catch him cheating on her. But after Özgen confronts the other woman, causing her to run out of the apartment, it's revealed that Özgen and Hakan are just putting on an act. Özgen regularly pretends to be Hakan's angry girlfriend to help him get rid of his one-night stands. When Ganesh asks Ozgun why she'd help an F-boy like Hakan deceive other women, Ozgun claims she's just saving those women from future heartbreak since Hakan isn't boyfriend material. Now listen, I'm not fully buying into that logic. It's all very messy, but I'm entertained by this subplot and I'm definitely interested to see how it progresses, especially since it seems Ozgun is catching feelings for Hakan. Next, we see Ganesh and Baran having dinner, and Ganesh confesses that she used his image to pass him off as Mr. Alpha, which Baran already knew. But instead of getting angry, he surprises her and tells her that he understands why she did it and that he fully supports her career as an influencer. He even takes it as a sign that their relationship is deepening. Ganesh is visibly touched by Baran's validation and acceptance. This is exactly what she's wanted from Deniz all along, which is respect for her career and support without judgment. But while she's grateful for Baran's understanding, he just isn't the man that she loves. Next, we see Deniz in a meeting with his boss, Mr. Ralph, who tells him that he saw Ganesh's post about Mr. Alpha. His boss assumes that Ganesh and Deniz are back together, which Deniz doesn't deny. But he warns Deniz that influencers are frowned upon in their industry, and being associated with Ganesh could tarnish his credibility in the architecture community. And this is a harsh reminder for Deniz that his career is very much at odds with Ganesh's. Then comes another moment of frustration when Pervin, Ganesh's manager, texts Deniz asking if he'll reveal his voice as Mr. Alpha in an upcoming podcast with Ganesh. It's the first Deniz is hearing about this podcast, and he's furious. And to be fair to Deniz, Pervin is really overstepping here. She's treating Deniz like a prop in Ganesh's influencer brand campaign, not like a real person with boundaries. Ganesh may be an influencer who's comfortable using aspects of her personal life for content, but Deniz never signed up for that, so he has every right to be frustrated. When Deniz confronts Ganesh about this, their fight is intense. He accuses her again of jeopardizing his reputation and not understanding the risk to his career. Ganesh insists she never planned to reveal his identity, and it was all Pervin's idea. But Deniz says he's tired of broken promises, and Ganesh says she's tired of not being trusted. And in a vulnerable moment, Ganesh finally explains why the inheritance in Cappadocia matters so much to her. She needs the money to pay for her sister's tuition in the US. When Deniz offers to give her the money, she's insulted. She doesn't want charity or a savior. She just wants a partner, someone she can count on. But the trust is too fractured, and the fight ends with them more broken than ever. Next, we see Ganesh packing for her trip to Cappadocia. Baran is with her, but there's a flicker of disappointment on her face since this moment mirrors the flashback from the start of the episode. And it's clear Ganesh wishes it were Deniz taking her to the airport instead of Baran. Meanwhile, Deniz is also packing for a work trip to London, and the camera lingers for a suspiciously long time on a box of condoms that he threw into his suitcase. And I have no doubt that this box of condoms will definitely be featured in a later episode. Before his flight, Deniz meets with Umay at her request. She blames herself for pushing him away and says she wants to reconcile, but she wants Deniz to confirm that he shares her feelings. Deniz is largely non-committal, although he reveals that he's still healing from the wounds of his relationship with Ganesh, and he assures Umay that he's no longer involved with Ganesh. When Deniz steps away to go to the restroom, Umay, unsurprisingly, snoops through his phone and reads his text from Pervin, which included a link to Ganesh's podcast. Now, I have to say, it felt really contrived for Deniz to conveniently leave his phone behind in a public place. I mean, this man has major trust issues, so it's a little out of character for him to just leave his phone on top of a public bar. Anyway, Umay listens to the podcast and hears Ganesh talk about her love for Mr. Alpha, and Umay then angrily gets up and leaves the bar before Deniz returns from the restroom. When Deniz retrieves his phone, he sees the text from Pervin and also listens to the podcast, and he hears Ganesh define love as both as serious as a history book and as fun as a playground, which is a callback to the relationship when Deniz and Ganesh went to the park and played on a merry-go-round. Ganesh compares trust to a seesaw where you rely on your partner not to let you fall. It's beautiful and poetic, and Deniz is clearly moved by it. At the same time, we see Ganesh also listening to the podcast with tears in her eyes while reflecting on how that broken trust was the undoing of her relationship with Deniz. Ganesh then boards the plane to Cappadocia alone. Baran had mysteriously disappeared earlier to go to the restroom and just never returned. He also stopped answering her calls. And just when Ganesh was thinking that she was once again abandoned and left to solve her problems all alone, Denise rushes onto the plane, much to Ganesh's surprise, and he smugly, but sexily, sits right next to her on the plane without saying a word. And the episode ends with a smile on Ganesh's face as she sits next to Denise on the plane. Now, I loved this episode. It had more emotional depth than the pilot, and I feel like we're finally getting into the complexity of Ganesh and Denise's dynamic and also more clarity on the motivations of both characters. The layers of unresolved tension all landed a lot stronger for me in this episode than it did in the first. The pacing is still tight, and the show is doing a great job balancing the main romance with side characters like Ozgan and Hakan, who are proving to be very compelling. Their messy situationship is giving rom-com undertones, and I'm intrigued to see where it leads. Now, in my review of episode 1, I questioned whether the show had enough substance to stretch across 8 episodes, but I felt episode 2 is definitely a step in the right direction in terms of building emotional stakes, and it proves that there's enough meat on the bone to carry us through the rest of the season. So, what did you think about episode 2 of Reminder? Let me know in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube, but please, no spoilers for the rest of the season. And if you're enjoying these recaps, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share Just Dizis with your fellow Turkish drama lovers. And I'll catch you next time.